Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Gabe. I freaking love basketball. And this is the first video on this channel that I'll be doing for basketball. I have another channel where I review music and stuff and talk about music. So go check that out if you want. I'll leave a link in the description if you're trying to check that out. But I wanted to make a separate channel for basketball because I love basketball. So I also want an opportunity to talk about that stuff too. So I added some, decor to make it look more basketball-y, appeal to more people who want to watch basketball or watch basketball content. So got the Isaiah Joe jersey and the Vince Carter jersey. But anyway, I'm gonna be talking about the whole Jaden Ivey situation that has been going down for the last couple of days now. And I just want to give my opinion on it as a fan of the Chicago Bulls, for one, but also as just a fan of basketball in general and give my opinion. And yeah, so let's get into it. So to start, if there's anyone that's not aware, recently Jaden Ivey of the Chicago Bulls, who was really recently just traded there on the trade deadline in February, so not that long ago, he went on Instagram Live after being shut down for the season due to injury by the Chicago Bulls. He went on Instagram Live and was spewing hate speech about LGBTQ members and everything like that, saying that they're unrighteous, that the NBA celebrating Pride Month and LGBTQ members is unrighteous, and just overall just being very hateful and just saying things that are very disagreeable that I just cannot get behind, and a lot of people also could not get behind. And so after this whole situation happened on live, the Chicago Bulls found out and they promptly waived him. And since the Bulls did this, this has caused a ton of discussion around sports ball and even people who don't even follow sports, I'm pretty sure, just giving their opinion and stuff like that. And I got to give my own as somebody who has one, and I'm very passionate about my opinion right now. So the first thing that I want to address as it pertains to this is people saying that, oh, he just got fired because of his freedom of speech. He got released because of his freedom of speech. You're not allowed to speak freely no more. Da da da. Da. I just want to shut down these rumors. I don't think you guys understand, well, not all you guys, but the people who are giving those arguments, I don't think that they understand that freedom of speech really only protects you in the court of law. And freedom of speech does not equal freedom from receiving punishment by any means at all. So I'll give you an example. If somebody walks up to you, right, just out of the blue, you're just walking down the street, maybe you're with some friends, whatever. Somebody just walks up to you and they start hating on you. They're like, "Yo, you're ugly. You're fat. You're this. You're that. Your mom is ugly." Da da da. And they just go crazy on you. You're gonna feel some type of way, aren't you? And you're probably gonna maybe do something physically to them. I don't know. You're gonna have them receive something that isn't favorable for them, right? So the thing in that situation is, even though you retaliated because of what they said, you didn't take away their freedom of speech. They said what they said, and they were allowed to say that. And if a police officer was standing right there next to you guys when they said this to you, they would be fine. The police officer wouldn't have arrested them, nothing like that whatsoever. But that doesn't excuse them from receiving consequences for the things that they said. So, of course, you lash back out on them. And that's not taking away their freedom of speech. That's just you having a reaction to the thing that they said. And so, in this situation, Jaden Ivey has his freedom of speech and had his freedom of speech. He used his right to freedom of speech and he said what he said. But that doesn't mean that he's excused from receiving consequences, which, of course, ended up being the Chicago Bulls releasing him. And now I want to address the other thing that spins off kind of into this topic, which is people bringing up like, oh, you have, women abusers and beaters and all these other people who have done bad things in your league, but you take out somebody who was just using their rights to their freedom of speech. And now I don't totally disagree with this one because I strongly, strongly, strongly dislike the Jackson Hayeses, the Miles Bridges, the Kevin Porter Juniors, and even the Anthony Edwards for him being, an absent father. And he's made his own anti-LGBTQ comments in the past as well. And I strongly dislike those guys and would honestly, for most of them, would be happy to see them out of the league. And if I were running a team, there's no way in hell I'd ever be keeping a Miles Bridges, a Kevin Porter Jr., or a Jackson Hayes on my roster because I think it'd be a bad look for the team. But also, like, some of those guys don't really add a whole lot to your roster. Like Jackson Hayes and Kevin Porter Jr. just absolutely suck. Miles Bridges isn't great either. He just is kind of a little bit better than them. But here's the thing about that whole situation. As everybody knows, the NBA is a business. What I think a lot of people miss, though, is that even though the NBA is a business, every single NBA team within the NBA is also its own separate business within the NBA. And so when you have individual franchises, they will run individually. The NBA hardly ever steps in, like very, very, very rare steps in and just bans like anybody really from their league outright. They typically leave it up to the teams and the ownerships to make that decision on players and coaches and general managers and everything like that. And obviously, when you're making comments that are anti a marginalized group, that's not a good look for your franchise, for your team, for your organization. And Jaden Ivey going on live and saying these things about, or not about, but representing the Chicago Bulls, especially in Chicago, where they have a really high population of everybody marginalized, like people of color, women, people who are gay, everybody. This is just an awful look for the Chicago Bulls as a whole and for the NBA as a whole. And Chicago Bulls felt it right to release him. Now, obviously, these other players that I mentioned, like they are detrimental too as an image to the league itself. But what it looks like to me is if any of those guys were employed by the Chicago Bulls, they also would have been released. You need to take that up with the individual franchises and the ownership who are a part of it. And don't get me wrong, I hate that it's this way. I don't mean to take the side of billionaires or anything like that. I don't like them. I don't mess with them at all. And I hate that it's like that. But it's just that is the way that it is. So complaining that, these guys are in the league, but this guy isn't because of what he said, you're kind of like talking to a wall in a way, because it's like, well, yeah, because the Chicago Bulls obviously don't like whenever their players are doing controversial stuff like that, so they get rid of them. But a franchise like apparently the Hornets or the Lakers or the Bucks, sorry, I was forgetting who I was talking about, or the Bucks, they obviously don't care that much if these guys are on their team and giving them a bad image. And not to mention that Jaden Ivey is much more expendable than the rest of those guys. Ivy has a really long history of injuries, which is unfortunate because he's only what 4 or 5 years into his NBA career, and he's already got a long injury history within that. So that's one negative already. But on top of that, he's just not that great of a player. So this year in his time with the Detroit Pistons, he averaged 8 points, 2 rebounds, and 1.5 assists per game on about 17 minutes. And those just aren't that great of numbers. While they're not horrible by any means, they're just not that great. And especially as a guard, you want your guard to average more than 1.5 assists per game. And also the role that he's in theory, Jaden Ivey is supposed to be a score first guard. He's supposed to be a great elite scorer. And he only averaged 8 points a game. I know he was only getting 16 minutes a game, but still, when you're this great elite scorer that you are, why are you not getting more than 8? But on top of that, the Detroit Pistons being as great as they are, the one thing with them that is keeping them from being the number one pick in, the contender status for a lot of people is that they don't have a lot of shot creators and playmakers for themselves outside of Cade Cunningham. And again, Jaden Ivey, in theory, is supposed to be that guy that can do that and that can create a shot for himself and that can get buckets. And even he couldn't carve out a role onto this team that needs a guy like that. And that's supposed to be his specialty. That just showed you how good he actually is. Like, he's not that great. And then he came to Chicago, and in only 4 games, he averaged 30 minutes, 11.5 points, 4.8 rebounds, and 4 assists. But he only shot 42% from the field, which is not great at all. And then after this, he got an injury, and he was shut down for the rest of the season. And that was that. So he's not that great. So he's more expendable than the guys like Kevin Porter Jr., who is contributing to a bad Milwaukee Bucks team, a Jackson Hayes who is contributing to a bad big man core in LA, and Miles Bridges. I mean, they're kind of just bad in the front court as well. Unfortunately, in this multi-billion-dollar league, They don't really care about the action that you did as much as they care about the talent and what you bring to the organization. And Jaden Ivey doing and saying the controversial things that he said while also not bringing a whole lot to the table, he was going to get released. And then there's a lot of people also saying that he got removed from the league because of his religious beliefs and speaking out on them. And I cannot let that slide because these are not religious beliefs. I understand that in older scriptures of Christianity, being anti-gay and condemning them was a huge thing. It really was. But that's not what modern Christianity is at all. Christianity has evolved over time, and you saying that, gay people are against the Lord or against Jesus Christ is a very aged view of looking at any of that. You're looking at old scriptures that also include looking at women and people of color negatively as well. So, are you really going to be following a belief that was held in very old scriptures of Christianity that also, at the same time period as that, was also not in favor of women and of people of color? Or are you just cherry picking anti gay from Christianity from that time period to fit your bigoted views? Now, I know some people probably saw me say, it's not in favor of women, gay people, or people of color, and we're like, oh, I'm with that too. Y'all are too far gone. I'm not trying to talk to y'all. I'm just trying to talk to the people that maybe have some life left to bring them back to reality. But whatever happened to love thy neighbor? You know what I mean? Or just like any new age of Christianity is all about love for everybody. People of color, people who identify as gay, trans, whatever it is. Women, men, everybody. It acknowledges love for everybody. And you're just gonna throw all that out because you want to fit this agenda that you have for homophobia? It makes no sense. Especially because the Bible in general and those old scriptures of the Bible wasn't written by the Lord. It was just written by a dude who said that he knew who the Lord was. And even though I'm not religious by any means, I can tell you that true Christianity is not hating gay people. It's not. Not to mention, do y'all even know that he was beefing with Christians in his comment section as well? On one of the comments on, I think it was some post that he had, somebody said, sending prayers, Detroit misses you. And Jaden Ivey responded by saying, God does not hear your prayer if you are a sinner. So he was actively also beefing with Christians and just hating on other forms of religion as well. It's just clear that he's way off the deep end, and I don't know if there's anything that can be done to be saving. But this does lead into another discussion, and I'm kind of done with this whole rant about everything everybody's been saying and what Jaden Ivey said. And I want to get into what could have possibly happened? Now, Ivy has been very outspoken about his mental health issues over, I think, the last couple of years, but I think he even came out after he was traded to the Chicago Bulls this past February. And he said that he was struggling with the trade itself and it having an effect on his mental health. And ever since then, it just feels like it's been really downhill for Ivy. Now, even though I don't agree with Ivy and I think that his views are very reductive, I am hoping that he gets some help because it's clear that he's just got something going on mentally. And regardless of the things that he said, he still deserves to have some help. And in a way, even though I don't really want him on the Chicago Bulls, I kind of wish the Chicago Bulls helped him more. I wish they would have kept him on the roster and just made sure that he's getting the therapy that he needs or even just any type of, mental help at all. Because it's clear more than anything that he's just really struggling with something going on, especially because he's been in the league for almost 4 years now and he might have had stuff between the cracks that was like this, but nothing that was really this outright in front of our faces. So it really does make me concerned for him, and I hope that he does truly find the help that he needs to get back on track. So yeah, even though I don't agree with what he was saying, he still deserves to be helped. He still deserves to have, honestly, even a chance at the NBA. Because still, in a way, you are correct. If these other guys can have a chance in the league that literally beat women and abuse them, maybe he does too. Especially if he can get back on a steadier track. But yeah, that's it from me. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you disagree, let me know. Let me know why you disagree in the comment section. Let me know why you think I'm wrong. I'm always good for a perspective switch. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one. First video on the new channel. Excited to put it out. So let's go. Peace out, y'all.